So I will start this meeting, and hopefully some people can trickle in as they are finishing up other meetings, I'm sure. So hello, and welcome everyone to the first improvement community practice for 2026. For those who don't know my name is Taylor Grills. I'm actually officially in my new role at the AEH, and I am the Advanced to Zero Practice and Improvement Lead. So before we dive in, I just wanted to share that this session is recorded. So if you're not comfortable with being recorded, please feel free to turn off your camera. Or if you want to log off, we can send you through a copy of the recording later. So I'd like to begin with an acknowledgement of country, and I invite everyone to reflect on and share the traditional lands you are currently sitting on in the chat. So I'm sitting on the lands of the Kumbamari people, and I acknowledge and pay my respects to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, the first peoples and traditional custodians of the lands and waters where we live and work. I pay my respects to elders past and present and acknowledge the emerging leaders. I recognize their deep and enduring connection to the land, waters, and cultural beliefs, which continues today. And I acknowledge the profound cost of sharing this land, which has led to ongoing injustice and systemic inequalities, evident in the disproportionate number of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who have no secure place to call home. So just to kind of bring it all together and talk about the purpose of this meeting. So this is a space for communities to learn from one another and share updates. It's to celebrate achievements and share resources to strengthen our collective efforts and overcome challenges. And through this community of practice, we aim to capture insights and assist with problem solving for communities participating in or interested in Advanced to Zero. So to be clear, this meeting is open to all members of the AtoZ community and those who are interested in joining. So if you know anyone, please share out the invite and to register for this call. We warmly welcome everyone. So today we're going to have a quick fire round of intros. Then we're going to talk about setting small tests of change as we start the new year in 2026. And we're going to reflect on some change ideas and then work out in breakout rooms to develop these ideas out. We're then going to follow with a lightning round of community updates and then end with some AEH updates as events are coming up. And there's the Leadership Academy in February, which is very exciting. So first, we're going to do some introduction. So if this is your first community practice, please feel free to come off mute and share your name and what community you're in, or feel free to type it in the chat. Do we have any newcomers?
I'm new. Yeah. I'm new. You go, Annie.
Hi, my name's Annie Ferguson. I work at the Salvation Army in Homelessness in Hamilton and Horsham. We're trying to get a community up and running in the Horsham area. So we're not established yet. We're just sort of trying to soak in by osmosis more of the AtoZ love because we're on board. Yeah. We've got the fever, as I say.
We love it. Thanks, Annie. It's nice to meet you. And I think Duncan, you were next.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Duncan Bainbridge. I've just joined the Alliance as a what's my officer? Impact Support Officer is my correct title. But I'm doing all sorts of things. So, I'll be floating in and out of all sorts of places here and there and helping where I can and taking as much in because it's only week 3 for me. So my feet haven't really hit the ground yet, but I'm getting there. So happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you, Duncan.
I'm also new. My little square says Sarah, but my name is Tara Bewley. Sarah has forwarded the email on to me because she couldn't attend today. I'm from Yarra City Council in Social Research and Policy.
Awesome. Thank you. Welcome. Anyone else? We have a couple in the chat, so we are welcoming Sasha, Rachel, and Bianca as well. We are very happy to have you all here. Alrighty. So just a reminder, I like to say this, feel free to raise your hand or type questions in the chat, and you're also welcome to come off mute and ask any questions at any stage of this presentation. Also, for this call, I have created a little mini workbook for you all. So I'm just going to pop that in the chat. So you're welcome to make a copy for yourself, but just for this call, it would be really great to have everyone contributing in the one document together so we can capture all the learnings and use them the next time that we meet. So I think that link hopefully works for everyone. Is everyone able to open it? Thumbs up. Awesome. Okay, great. Okay, so before we dive into work, I just wanted to share why we are using this space to start setting these small tests of change. And it has to do with the AtoZ's overall goal. So AtoZ wants to demonstrate that ending homelessness is possible by using by-nameless data to house and support people experiencing homelessness, and we're starting with rough sleeping. And the way that we're going to do this is by focusing on housing and supporting the people experiencing the most vulnerability, building overwhelming proof that ending homelessness is possible. We're going to drive cycles of improvement. We're going to develop a whole bunch of tools for everyone, and we're seeking to meet the identified unmet housing and support needs in the sector. So in doing all of these things, our kind of overall goal or broad goal is to increase the impact in the number of local communities involved in AtoZ. So in order for us to increase our impact in the number of communities in AtoZ, the national team is going to be focusing on 6 components. These aren't all of them, but these are kind of the main ones that we can lump together. So one of them is about building a community progress tracker. So this will include national, state, and local dashboards for people to access. There's going to be a knowledge hub. So this is where you can access templates, fact sheets, snapshots, toolkits, and scorecards all in one place. We're also going to set up some AtoZ training. So this could be 3 or 4 trainings a year. Haven't confirmed any of the kind of topics, but they could be ones around the improvement model, action-oriented facilitation, and goal setting at a community level, or whatever is identified by community. And then we're also going to be providing local coaching and support. The last 2 is that we're going to be supporting AtoZ through improvement cycles. So an improvement cycle is a 6-month period where a community concentrates on advancing their work towards a specific proof point, milestone, or improvement within AtoZ. So throughout the cycle, the community tracks their efforts and progress. And at the end of that 6 months, we're going to help to reflect on the progress, identify what's working well, uncover areas for improvement, and adjust different challenges. So the goal is to advance to the next proof point or milestone within AtoZ over the next cycle. And then the last thing that we're doing is hosting a range of communities of practice. So why we do this is it helps create cross-pollination of what has happened, what is happening across Australia. And currently there's an improvement community practice, the one that you're in. There's one for data, the Ovid train the trainers. I think those are all of them. Am I missing one, Michaela? I don't think so. I think that's all.
No, I think we've got the ARBA, the data, the ARBA trainers, the data, the improvement community practice, and potentially something exciting happening later this year.
Okay. That's why I went to you, because I was like, can I? Okay, more to come. We'll just leave it at a more to come there. But it is exciting. So for this COP, in order for us to create that cross-pollination and to capture the impact that is happening at a local level, we as a group are going to think about setting small, simple improvement goals here today. So this can be something that's addressing a specific barrier, makes an improvement on something that's already working, or a new idea that you want to test. And it's important for us to develop and share an improvement for 2 reasons. It's because we're going to collectively find out what barriers and ideas are happening across the country, and we can learn from one another. And then it's also going to help identify for us as a team to know what areas of support are needed to help drive your work forward. So when you're thinking about an improvement or a change idea, it can be a new idea or a meaningful improvement to an existing idea or practice. This idea, it can be specifically removing a barrier. It can be related to your overall community aim. And when you're thinking about it, it has to be within your influence, small enough to test, and has to be measurable. So some questions you can ask yourself when you're thinking about a change idea to come up with them. I've listed these questions here. So the first one is, what's one thing, if improved, would make it easier for the person experiencing homelessness to navigate the system? Another question is, what is one thing, if improved, would make your work easier or more effective? What barrier have you accepted that maybe you shouldn't? What's been on the we should fix this someday list? And if your community has an aim, ask yourself, what can I focus on to reach our aim over the next 6 months? And you might find that you have lots of different ideas to address the complex problem of homelessness. So when you're thinking about a change idea, you also want to think about how you're deciding where to start. So one way to look at it is by impact. So you want to think, will there be a high or low impact towards, a high or low impact on the system or towards your aim? And the goal is to always have a high impact. You can also consider effort. So will it be easy or difficult for you to implement? And the goal is to have low effort when you're trying to identify a change idea. And then lastly, you want to consider the control you have. So you want to ask yourself, is this within my control or outside of my control? And the goal is to have it in your control. And when you're thinking of different change ideas, you can think of different themes or areas that the ideas can fall under. So some examples include health, mental health, and disability, such as a mobile outreach or an NDIS navigator's role. You can think about subpopulation work. So this is youth, First Nations, or you can consider the longest time people have been on the by name list. You can think about stakeholders and relationships. So this is about getting others around the table, engaging with certain organizations. It could be about reducing inflow. So this is really like prevention work or post-placement support. When you think about it too, it could be about programs and policies. So this could be tenancy support programs or starting specific outreach programs. When you think of data and advocacy, it could be about connection and focus weeks. It could also be position papers. It could be about building dashboards. Another one to consider is building public and political will. So this is through information workshops, getting councils engaged. And then lastly, I have listed here is about increasing outflow. So improvements in service coordination, pilot housing programs, landlord engagement strategies. There's a broad range, but they can kind of be put into these themes nicely. And like, this is an exhaustive list. I know there's a lot more. I just ran out of room on the slide. So I would love to hear from the group. Are there any obvious ones that are missing from this list as like a big theme or area of different improvements that or change ideas that can go under? No? Did my job well.
No, well, yes. You don't have housing and shelter. Why don't you have that? I mean, that's, it's big picture.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I think my thinking or what I thought was covering it was like the housing could be under programs and policy, but you're right, it should be its own bucket. So I will write that one down. Any other glaring obvious ones that I've missed? So thank you, George. That's a very obvious one that I did not list.
So under subpopulation, you're thinking all the cohorts, yeah?
Yeah.
Yep. Outflow, reduce inflow. So under reduce inflow, you're thinking backwash as in tenancy sustainment under that as well? Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, plenty to work with there, Taylor.
Don't want to give you too much. Awesome. Thanks, George. Anyone else?
The only other thing, Taylor, and this is kind of from that like waters of systems change, is sort of thinking about like power dynamics. So like when we're thinking about, I guess, working with people with lived experience and sort of, I don't know, maybe they can be they're in there already, like programs or something like that. But yeah, just thought about that too.
Yeah, no, that's really great. Yeah, power dynamics too could be, I mean, it's very different, but like stakeholders and relationships as well, it could fit under that. And then I guess thank you for naming specifically lived experience. That's something that kind of regardless of the theme and area, we want it built into all of them, that equity lens as well, and then lived experience inclusion in all of those places. But yes, thank you for naming that specifically.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Taylor.
Awesome. Okay, so that's kind of my quick intro into how to set and think about setting small change ideas or small improvements to make at a community level. And I'm just going to pause and name the giant elephant that's here. It's that I know that everyone's feeling really, really stretched. We're already stretched thin, and you're probably wondering why I'm asking for you to do more work. I 100% understand. When I was working frontline, I constantly felt like I was being pulled in 1,000 different directions, and I was hitting walls and barriers all the time with zero time to do anything. But one mindset that really helped me to be motivated and to start small was this mindset about oh, it's not working. There we go. That the no one is coming mindset. I don't know if anyone has heard of this. It was very helpful for me. I know it can seem kind of harsh, but it's also true that no one is coming. So it's really about not sitting by and waiting. We need to start now. Don't be a bystander. We need to be an upstander. Don't wait for the superhero. Be one yourself. And if you want and need a change, then please give yourself permission to start making those changes. So these imperfect small tests of change will make a difference to the system, to the way you've worked, and it'll make a difference to the person experiencing homelessness. And by you being here, you're making the connections with others who aren't accepting the status quo and aren't waiting for permission. So when we start collectively to start seeing the change, we can do that, and we can do that one idea at a time. So with you thinking of one idea, we are gaining access to a whole suite of change ideas that are being tested simultaneously, and we're meeting in this community of practice and in this space. And then you can bring those learnings and those changes back to your local community. So with that, we're going to move into kind of an activity portion of the call. But I just wanted to pause. Does anyone have any questions or comments or anything to add before we move on? Okay. I just saw your comment in there, Anna, to add practice to policy and programs. And I love that. And I will make sure that that is added there. Okay. So now we're going to take a few minutes to write down on a paper in front of you or on your computer a small test of change that you can start today. So it might help just to write down a bunch of different ideas, or it doesn't need to be a perfect idea. You have time to develop the idea later, but it can be an existing idea, a new one that directly addresses a barrier you're experiencing. Just remember, it needs to be small and that it needs to be in your control. So we're going to give you, where'd my timer go? There we go. We're going to give you 2 minutes just to start thinking about an idea. Is the timer going? Oh. All right. Well, I will start counting. My timer isn't working, but I'll start counting, and we'll give you 2 minutes to write down a change idea that you have. Okay, so we have 1 minute left. So start to think about how this idea fits in one of those themes or areas that we talked about. That theme or area might not be listed, and that's okay. Just try and fit it into one of those, because we're going to do that, and we're going to break into breakouts on those specific topics. And if you haven't started to think about it, just try and think about that impact, effort, and control. And remember, you want high impact with low effort and high control. Okay. That's the time we have. So as we come back together, it's okay if you don't have anything or you just have a start of an idea. We're going to go into breakouts based on these themes and start thinking in groups. So that might help trigger some ideas to start. So if Dasha, you could help me, we're just trying to figure out how we can do those breakouts. So if you can just answer the poll here and see where your idea fit in what theme, that'll help us figure out where to put the breakouts. Give people another couple seconds here. Ooh, lots in data and advocacy. Love that. Okay. Ten more seconds of that. Yeah, so this is going to help us figure out what to name the breakout rooms and how to break people up. That's great. Okay. We can close that. Oh, we have 4 more people. 3 more. But while we're closing out that poll, I would just love to hear a couple change ideas from the group. Does anyone feel comfortable enough sharing and stating if it's a new or existing idea and what theme it fits under?
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks, George.
The one thing we've been talking about for the last couple of years and haven't quite landed is the desire to bring consistency to rough sleeping protocols across local government. So we have a variety of different ones in place, and some councils don't have any in place. And it's a real opportunity to set the standard and to be very clear about the way that human rights should govern the work and to provide resources to councils that don't have them. And so I think it's potentially high impact, a little bit of work, but it's high impact and very much in our control.
Awesome. Thank you, George. Anyone else feel comfortable to share?
I can go, Tay.
Awesome. Thank you.
We're located in Byron Shire, and a big focus for us this year is really strengthening our relationships with First Nations communities. We've been able to bring on an Aboriginal identified lived experience consultant, which is awesome. But yeah, that's a real focus for us. So that was under the stakeholders and relationships aspect of the work. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Hannah. Awesome. Anyone else feel comfortable sharing?
I'll go. Ours was in kind of like mine's in the quality data and advocacy space. I think we've transitioned to a new database, and with that, we need to do the new like the scorecard and be assessed for quality data. But with that, there are some challenges in terms of being able to get there, and what are the I guess we've discussed this in the team, so it's not something that I've just come up with now, but I guess the benefit of having some volunteers kind of come and help with that. So like maybe going to the drop-in centres and sitting with staff members and trying to really assist people to get to that data quality point, so we can really then use the data and be able to do improvement projects.
Thanks, Michaela. Okay, so now our next step, now that we have an idea, is that we're going to develop out these change ideas into more actions in our breakout rooms. So we're going to go through in the workbook. Let me share this tab instead and open it up. So when we're in our breakout rooms, you're going to go over to the tabs here, and depending on your theme or area that you're in, you're going to go to that page and you're going to pick a line, and we're going to start answering all of those questions. So I'm going to go back here. So here they all are. So the first one is, what's the problem or opportunity that you're trying to address? The next one is, what change will you test first? So this needs to be small, specific, and time bound. So those are the change ideas that we were just naming. So how will you know if it helped? So these are one or two simple signals or measures that we need to set out. When will you run this test? So we need to set a timeline. We don't want it to go any longer than 90 days. The shorter, smaller test of change, the better. Then the last one here is, who needs to be involved? So thinking of a small group to get all of this started. So to help kind of frame all of these questions, I'm going to run through an example. I'm sure other people have heard of this one before. Sorry. Heard this before, but if there's someone who is a part of this example from Perth Metro, please interject if I got anything wrong or you want to add something. It's just to help bring context to what we're doing here. So in Perth, there we go. So they came up with this idea for binding list champions. So in identifying a problem or opportunity, Perth looked at their data and noticed a few things. So those 3 different things here that they decided to try and solve for. And the one that they picked was that they noticed there's a high number of individuals on their list that were being made inactive each month. So when considering what change idea to test, they sent out a survey to the metro sector to see how workers engage with the by name list, how much they value it, and identify barriers that way. And with this information, they came up with some change ideas, which are listed there. All of those change ideas, they decided to test and implement an idea called by name list champions. And really, when you look at that options, it does make a big impact on quality data. It could require low effort to start up and start the change, and it was something that was in their control. So when you look at answering the third question there, they set some measures, and how will they know if by name list champion helped? So specifically, they would see a decrease in the number of inactive clients at the 90-day inactive mark, and they would gradually see an increase in the number of by name list champions across their project. I'm thinking about answering, when will you run this test? I don't have exact dates, but I know that they started with a quick, simple, small test of change, then ramped it up to more organizations and made improvements to the by name list document. So it's kind of stages to run this test. So the document that they made explained what a by name list champion is, which is when your organization assigns a specific by name list champion to ensure all the updating and responsibilities needed for the by name list are being completed. So they tested this document, completed training, and then once they felt confident in that document, they then expanded it to more and more organizations. So when you're thinking about answering who needs to be involved, in the Perth example, they started really small. It took one person to create the survey to send out to everyone to think about what improvements that they can do to address that issue. From there, it was a few people to draft the first document. And then from there, the group built a little bit more. They went from one organization and grew into 9 organizations using this process. So you start small and then you expand. Just so you guys know the outcomes of that, through this small test of change, they went from 112 inactive clients on their by name list in February to just 1 in July 2025. So it just shows how you can have one idea and it can have a massive impact. So we're going to take 4 minutes here before we go into the breakouts for you to start thinking and filling in your own PDSA. So again, it's using that worksheet. You go to your identified theme tab and start filling in your row. So I'll just give you 4 minutes now. I'll have to do the timer on my phone. Or is this going to work now? I think I got it to work. Yes. Technology. All right, so I'll check in a couple minutes. Does the process make sense to everyone? Sorry, I know I talk really fast, so I'm happy to re-explain if you need. Okay, perfect. Okay. Just letting you know, we have just under 2 minutes. Just a reminder, this doesn't need to be perfect. It's just about getting your ideas down on a page. There's no judgment, and we're going to have more time later to build it out with others. Should have had some music. Music queued up. I know some people love it, some people hate it, but okay. Alrighty, so I'm just gonna, hopefully everyone had enough time to write down some ideas. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna open up some breakout rooms. There's not 5 or 6, I think there's 3 dashes set up, just because the numbers are smaller. So when the rooms pop up, please pick the one that your theme or area where you identified your idea fits under, and we're going to break you up and kind of talk about those shared areas to see if we can assist each other, or there might be some overlap, and learn together in that space. So once you pick your room, once you're in the room, you're going to introduce yourself. We're going to have a lightning round of name, pronouns, and the community you're from. Then you're going to identify a team lead, and this is just to hold the space, ensure everyone gets a turn to speak. And then you're going to have, we're going to do 10 minutes. We're going to do 10 minutes to discuss your change idea with the group and continue to build out your PDSAs. And then we're going to come, when you go around, you just need to make sure everyone is sharing their idea, and you're going to walk through your worksheet and get feedback from the group. Does that one make sense to everyone? Awesome. Okay, Dasha, if you could set up the rooms. I know Michaela is going to go into the data and advocacy one. I'm happy to go in the other one, and then that last group, you'll just have to identify a team lead for that space. So if you go to your breakouts, just need to join a group. Where is it? Oh. Have they popped up for anyone? Oh yeah, there you go. Oh, there we go. Okay. I had to close the unassigned, and then the other breakouts popped up for me.
Nothing's popped up for me yet.
Oh, okay.
Now it
If you
has.
go,
Yeah. Got it.
okay, yeah. Or if other people are stuck, if you go to more, you'll see a little breakout rooms there, and then you just have to minimize the unassigned and join one of the 3 rooms that are listed. There we go. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Let me just go back to sharing my screen. Okay, sorry there was an issue with broadcasting the messages, and that time went by very quickly, which is great. Is there anyone who just wanted to share? Maybe have time for one person to share their change idea put into this PDSA light form?
I'm happy to go
Thanks,
again.
Michaela.
If so, the change idea was the idea that I presented before. So the feedback was that we really need to think about if we're going to do that, like selling it to the frontline workers, like what's the motivation, what's the benefit that it will have to their clients, and what's in it for them. And then we had some feedback around volunteers, like the training and induction, and the people, like making sure that it's people that will stick around, that are interested in kind of the work and not just do a day and then leave. So like the time investment. We talked about whether whether it would be if we put volunteers in the engagement hubs for 1 week, or we put volunteers in the engagement hubs for a couple of days over a month. And the feedback was that the month vision was probably better to kind of embed ongoing practice and know that, like, people are going to be there, rather than it just that this is something that somebody's told us to do and we have to do it today, this week, rather than a kind of constant thing that's there and people can learn over time. And thinking about, like, yes, there are things that could be cleaned up in the data, and there's new fields in the new database, but like really thinking about what are the critical fields, so what's the nice to haves and what's the must haves. So really trying to think about if we had to pick 3 different fields that we really wanted to update, like what would be the benefit of that, so the return on investment, like what we're going to use that data for. Yeah, and come back to that.
Awesome. Thanks, Michaela. Well, I hope everyone felt that was helpful, useful. And again, we're going to come back to this in the next improvement community practice and see how these went, where they're at, where you got stopped, and just create that sharing process. So just some final thoughts. Always remember to not get ahead of your knowledge. You want to just keep testing, small tests. Use your scarce resources wisely. So if something's not working, just pivot. Let's try something else. You want to mitigate unintended consequences with curiosity. So you want to make sure you ask questions and trying to find out what are the cost, side effects, and some balancing measures beforehand. To reduce resistance to change, you start off small. That's the key. And one test of change will lead to another. So it's that ramping idea. When you do one thing, it's going to lead to something bigger and bigger. And you always want to be learning from your work and your mistakes and think about failing forward. So like even if it was a failure, don't see it as such. It was a learning. How do we move forward? And my favorite one, another mantra for me this year is like progress over perfection. So you don't need to wait for it to be a perfect plan. Just starting small and getting it going is important. So I know we only have 2 minutes. I'm going to hand it over to Dasha to quickly run through some AH updates and events.
Thank you, Tay. Hi, I'm Dasha. I'm the National Projects and Comms Lead. I'll just do a really, really quick update of our updates. So first one is that the Leadership Academy is coming up next month, which is exciting. Tickets have closed for Perth and Sydney, but Brisbane is still on sale until the 27th, and there is a link there to register for that one. Please feel free to share that with your networks. Should be a really great event. And then just put a hold in your calendar for early September for our next National Homelessness Summit. And that will be taking place in Melbourne alongside the in-person learning session. And we'll get to you with dates as soon as possible once the venue gets back to us. Finally, the best way to stay in touch and on top of events and whatnot is just to make sure that you're on our mailing list. And you can do that by clicking that link there and just making sure your details are in there, and then you'll get added to all the right lists and get all the info about events and whatnot. So please take a moment to do that if you can. And then finally, our next meeting for this is March 17th, and you can use the same link to access that one as you did for this one. So this link will work all year, but yeah, you can also re-register to get that fresh confirmation in your inbox if that's helpful. And reach out to info.ah if you have any questions. Thank you. I think that is me done.
Woohoo! Thanks, Tasha. I did that so quickly. Yeah, just tell your networks about this and let's get some more people into this community practice. And just a thank you for taking the time today. I see that Anna has shared a document in the chat. I think it's for George and Duncan to take a look at. So I love that there's already some shared learnings happening. So in our next call, we're going to review this again. And yeah, I just wish you luck in starting the process of your change idea. And we'll see you next month. No, the month after. See you in March. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.